Alright, what's up you guys? This is Tavian Cemetery Long. We're going to go ahead and get into how to upload your podcast to the Digital Gaming Underground. If you are a podcast producer and you're hosting your podcast with us here at Digital Gaming Underground, then this is pretty much the basics of it. Okay, I'm going to show you guys how to upload it and how to get it to the public so everyone else can see. Okay, it's pretty simple. You have to have a file, or should I say an FTP client. Now, I'm going to go ahead and clean this up so you guys can go ahead and see, for an example, how it looks. This is what you see on your FTP client. You pretty much want to pay attention to your right side here on the screen. Now, all you have to do is pretty much drag. If, let's say, for instance, the file is right here, okay, PSI podcast, then you want to go ahead and just drag this over, okay? Alright, so when you drag it over, it's going to upload, and once it finishes uploading, then that's going to be on your file server. It's going to be on our servers, and we will see it. Now, we will let you know that we're going to back up everything that you do. That means that any of your files, any of your podcasts won't get lost. We'll make sure they're backed up, but we'll handle that on our end. Okay, so now that we have the PSI_podcast0.mp3 up on our file server, we're going to go ahead and head on over to Digital Gaming Underground. So we're going to open up our web browser here. Okay, now this is pretty much the basics. You're going to click on Add New. That's if you have an account with us. If your account is editor or /contributor, then you can get into the account and you can make something. Okay, so you just follow this little dashboard here. It's really simple. It's right up above. There's other ways that you can get into it. You can use your login, but this is pretty much how you can do it right here. Okay, so you just click on Add New. Add New is going to shoot you directly to an Add New post. Okay, before we get started, these are things that I want you guys to know. Always put your podcast as a featured article. Okay, all the time. For your tags and your categories here, let me just show you. I want to make this very clear. Always put your information in the correct categories. Okay. For instance, this should be featured because this is pretty big. This is our show. This is a weekly show that we do. These are our shows, okay? Gaming news. If you have a specific oriented podcast, and this is basically based on PlayStation 3, you're going to scroll on down. You're going to do everything that's PlayStation oriented, okay? You're going to click that. And then what you're going to do is you can go down to the very bottom and you can click podcasts, and then you can click PlayStation Invasion podcast. Okay, now we're also going to go down here. We're going to set a featured image. To set a featured image, you basically have to go click it, select the file. We'd say always upload your logo. So if you have the PlayStation Invasion logo, go to your desktop, click open. You're going to have a few options there. Then you're going to see set featured image down below. You're going to click that. Then you're going to leave it alone. Just going to close it, okay? Please provide tags. That's one thing that we do want you to do. Your podcast, your articles, your news, anything that goes on at Digoo will never be seen if you do not include your tags. Tags including PlayStation Invasion, excuse me for my typos, podcast. Hopefully I'm typing that right, okay. Sony, PS3, PSN, gaming, okay. Those are examples, alright you guys. This goes for every podcast that's on our site. This is just an example, okay. Then what we do, we want to go ahead and get the file up on the site. That's one main thing. Okay, so let's go ahead and start that off. First what we're going to do is we're going to click Add Media File. Now, I'm going to show you guys how to get it up on your WordPress so that you can show it to the world. First, you're going to click Location. You're not going to worry about this right here. This right here is the flagship podcast. This is our main podcast, so that's the reason why you're going to see it. Pay attention not to click this. You're going to click Specify URL. We're going to give you a URL. You're going to use that URL. Now, this is how it's going to look. Okay? So every week, you take that URL and you paste it in and you change the number of the show. If it's 0, next week is 1, next week is 2, next week is 3, next week is 4. That's how you do it. Okay? You click OK. Alright? You'll know when it's correct because the WordPress and Digoo will let you know by using question marks if something's wrong. And it won't show you the MP3 standard audio. Okay? You click auto detect. You click auto detect. Give it a second. It shows you how long the podcast is. Okay? That also shows the viewers how long the podcast is. Okay. That's pretty much it. You don't have to touch anything else in that segment. If you guys want to include your own tweet, that means if you don't want Degoo to automatically tweet out what the new article is about, you can make a custom tweet. You can say, listen to, whatever, check out the new PlayStation Invasion podcast. Please use correct spelling. Do not rush this. Use correct spelling because this is the public and this is our main account. So our main account, we want to make sure that everything is legitimate, everything is professional, and everything's clean. So if you have any spelling errors, please check them before you send out the tweet. Okay, that also goes for up here as well. Make sure that you use correct spelling when you insert information. That information, as an example, let me go ahead and show you guys, is basically going to pertain what your website is about. For instance, the NGA Gaming Podcast, we have to specify what the show is about. As you can see, this one says NGA Gaming Podcast, episode 34. So, as a title, you can say PlayStation Invasion episode, or you can also say, so you can be more specific, PlayStation Invasion Podcast episode 0. Okay? Then type what your article is about, what your show is about. And here, in this box, you want to include some information. For instance, we put what the episode is. We also put get the podcast. These are ways that your viewers and listeners can download your podcast. If they can't do it through iTunes, they can do it through RSS feeds. If they can't do it through the RSS feeds, we'll supply a direct download. The MP3 direct download, don't worry about it. We'll take care of that. You just make sure that you copy and paste this right here. We want them to make sure that they have the podcast. You don't have to say get the podcast. You can say, download the podcast and etc. Whatever way you want to put it. Keep it fresh, keep it clean, and make sure that they understand it and it's correct. Also, we ask you that you provide the host name, the co-host name, the guest name. Make sure that you use the correct information. This is way that if you gain popularity and a big name sees you and understands what you're doing in the industry of gaming, then you can be recognized. You never want to be recognized for not being an actual person, okay? Let's go ahead and show you guys. The producer, make sure that you show who produces the podcast. The Digital Gaming Underground Sounds music. This is just a way that we put, different music at the end. So if you guys want to include music at the end, and it's actual under license or no license at all, then make sure that you put who the band is and where you can get their information. Okay? If you guys have a Facebook, if you guys have a Twitter, include your Twitter so that they can get attached to you and I can really talk to you and communicate with you. Okay? And then please, we do ask you to insert the phone number. Okay? So that you can contact us and we can also let you know that some of your listeners want a specific topic to be talked about. Okay. Now you're probably wondering, how do you get this symbol right here? This shows you your downloads. This shows you your play and pop-up. This shows you your hide player. Okay. Now, how do you get this pop-up? So you get that really cool looking, dazzly looking thing right there. I'm going to show you guys how to do it. First off, what you do is you go back to add new post, okay? And then you come down here. Let me say, I'm sorry. You come down right here and it says display podcast. Now, like I said, you might want to save this information here, okay? Save this information. I will send it to you so that you guys can have this in your future references and future records. Make sure you save this as well. Click on Display Podcast. Just insert it. You can click on Preview. You can click on Save Draft. Either way, it'll still be saved and you won't have to lose your information. We're going to go ahead and let it load up. Give it a few minutes. Having some internet trouble here. Really, I don't know why. I do apologize though. Okay, so after a couple of refreshes, I got it back up and running. Alright, so there we go. The PlayStation Invasion podcast, and that's how it looks. Your podcast will be right there, and it'll be able to be loaded. You can press play, and then that's how your podcast is going to look. Now, of course, we have the main player here, but the main player is going to be, of course, to show off our flagship podcast, which is the NGA, which is the official Digital Gaming Underground podcast. And of course, you know, you can have your friends or whoever you want to download it through the RSS feeds and etc. That's very simple. But that is how you do it. So make sure that you have an account that's ready. Tell us what your account is. Make sure that you confirm it with us that your account is set and ready to initiate podcasts. And that's pretty much how you do it, you guys. All right. So, like I said, keep that information that we have sent you and given you. If you haven't got that information yet, please remind us and let us know so we can send you that now. Okay? Thanks for watching the tutorial video, and have a good night.